You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
It's Wednesdays with Keegan. Blue Jays coming off their first loss in a long time to the New York Yankees. Again, I'm going glass half full. It had to happen at some point, Keegan.
It had to, and even post-game last night, I was getting all the questions of, God, the runners in scoring position, why didn't they do this? Should they have used Jeff Hoffman? And I'm glad to be at a point of the season where even I can say, whatever, it's fine. And I'm typically not that guy. I'm very game to game, and it takes a lot for me to really write something off like that. But the Jays had just won 11 in a row at home. They're almost 20 games above 500. There's a little wiggle room for stuff like that. And it's kind of the John Schneider saying that no one ever likes, but just sometimes they get you. It's Mark Shapiro likes to tell the old Manny Ramirez story of how some hitters are really advanced and they have all these profound thoughts, whereas Manny Ramirez's catchphrase was sometimes I get them, sometimes they get me. It's like, whatever, it's going to happen. And the Yankees are a very good baseball team, despite how they've looked against the Blue Jays lately. So it's still a wagon, man. It's still an incredible time. 2 sellout crowds. I think another sellout crowd coming tonight on Wednesday. And Dan, it feels like this Blue Jays team is finally capturing a bit of what they had in 2015 and 16. That didn't happen in 22 and 23. It just didn't. I think Toronto was still very much like, okay, prove it. They didn't really buy into the teams. I'm seeing it now. And I have not seen that in my time covering the Jays. I started in 17 after the fun. This is the best crowd, atmosphere, everything that I've seen in 9 years covering this team.
And I will be in attendance in the Bet Rivers suite for Wednesday night's game. Keegan, before yesterday's game, you were causing some controversy. You sent out this tweet: the Blue Jays need more from Vladdy Guerrero Jr., and I don't understand why that's only being whispered instead of said out loud. If any player can turn it on in an instant, it's Vladdy. He can take this team from a postseason contender to a World Series contender by himself. A lot of us were thinking it, and you are correct. We didn't hear it because a large percentage of the Blue Jays media is paid by the Blue Jays and the big Rogers machine. So you had to say it out loud. What was the take when people saw you at the ballpark after you sent that?
I'm just the cranky one, It's I guess that's Rich Griffin, formerly of the Toronto Star, the longtime columnist. He likes to say that I'm the oldest young writer he's ever met. And I don't think that's a good thing, but it's maybe I'm getting cranky quick. But I think that Toronto needs to be a serious market, and I don't think it always is, because Vladdy right now, he's having a good season. It's not a tank job. It's not terrible by any means. And I have all the respect in the world for Vladdy. I've covered every day of his career. I have all the respect I could possibly have for the guy. But along with that comes some reality. And what he's doing right now looks a little more like 2022 and 23, which were those years where he was good, but not great. And yeah, 3 for 5 day, that last AB in the 9th, I thought was fantastic. But at some point, he needs to get out in front of a ball and pull a baseball in the air. He is one of the most physically gifted hitters in the entire sport. Up there with the guys like Aaron Judge. He can do anything, and he can change games. We saw that late last year. We saw it in 2021. But I have been confused about how that's been not a big talking point. And when I say being a serious market, I don't mean that you need to go all the way to New York or Boston, where you're trying to run a guy out of town and you're mocking him on the front pages of tabloids. But I think we need to be realistic and treat the Blue Jays like a serious baseball team. Not like a team that's just happy to be involved, happy to be into the third wild card spot. That's not serious to me. That's kid stuff. The Blue Jays are a team that should be doing what they're doing right now, which is chasing the AL East. It's a massive market. It's a national market, massive payroll. And Vladdy is on a $500 million contract. He's the face of it all. So eventually they need him to be the biggest player in the biggest moments on this team. And yesterday against the Yankees, it kind of captured it perfectly, because the 3 singles allow you to look at it and say, man, great day, 3 for 5 at the plate. But the other 2 ABs, the 2 outs, were in the biggest moments of that game, with runners on, the bases loaded in one of them. So it's he really captures, he's that lightning rod for how this team is covered and how they're viewed across baseball. But it's a shift, man. The Jays are no longer the team happy to be invited to the party, and I don't think they can be covered like that. They need more from Vladdy, not a ton more, just some power, man. He's not a singles hitter. He cannot be, batting 300 with an 800 OPS. He's got to be hitting the ball over the wall, and I think he's at 13 home runs right now, Dan, and we're pushing August. It doesn't make sense to me.
By the way, when you mentioned Richard Griffin with the star, your Canadian accent when you said star.
And bar comes out. Yeah, that
came out huge.
The Canadian accent, and then the ripples of the Nova Scotian accent have come out. It's been too long since I've been home, but the moment I spend like 3 days in Nova Scotia, I come home and I sound drunk for a couple of weeks. It's great.
Your tweet may have started something, because on the broadcast when Vladdy was up Tuesday night, they essentially alluded to him hitting singles and not home runs. And I think Dan Schulman was taken aback. He's like, whoa, what are you implying? Almost like that was sacrilegious to say this guy should be hitting ones into the fifth deck.
Yeah, and I think Joe Siddle's been on that quite a bit too. And I love Joe, love Dan. And it's the big home runs are what's missing. It just is.
You want fear. When he steps to the plate, you want fear.
Bingo. That's it. It's about more than just the individual at bat. Look at how, this is the great example of it. Look at how the Blue Jays have had to tiptoe around Aaron Judge in this series. Will they walk him? They're arranging their entire bullpen around Aaron Judge. That's what Vladdy should be. Nobody's planning around Vladdy right now. They're not. He's a good hitter, but he's not striking fear into the hearts of anyone right now. When he's at his best, the other manager is looking, by the time the Jays get to the 7th, 8th, 9th spot in their lineup, the other team's manager is looking and saying, okay, by the end of the next inning, I need this reliever available. I need this to be in this place because Vladdy might screw this whole thing up. That's who he needs to be. And the Blue Jays right now are a good offensive team who chips away and chips away and chips away. Vladdy is supposed to be the one adding that element of power. So is Anthony Santander. But that big home run burst is just missing. And that does seem picky, but it gets back to what I was saying before, Dan, is that when you are competing to be one of the best teams in the American League, you got to raise the bar. And you've got to nitpick at these little things, especially at the trade deadline. It's no longer about going from decent to good. It's about going from good to great and being a real World Series contender. That's what I think makes the Jays a World Series contender. Because with a little bit of power, I think the Jays can go 7 games with anybody in baseball right now. Dodgers, Tigers, I don't care who. They can go a full 7-game series. One home run at the right time can steal that. That's what they need. That can tilt the series.
The great swagger they have now is, and us Jays fans, we have it now as well. When the Blue Jays used to be down 3 runs in a game, it was time, okay, I can get stuff done around the house. When the Jays are down 3 runs now, you say, no problem. And that is a level of confidence that a team, it's almost impossible to find, and the Jays have it. They were down 4-1 to the Yankees. I'm sitting there, I'm like, they got this, and they did.
Exactly. And for people listening, in my job, I try to have a story ready for the very end of the game. So when the Blue Jays last year would go down 4-1, by the 5th inning, I'd have my story written. The Blue Jays have lost again. Hey, this pitcher had a nice game. Whatever. Yesterday, when they went down 4-1, I didn't even start. I didn't bother. Because that's when you end up writing 3 or 4 or 5 stories that all get messed up. And it's completely changed how I interact with this team. And there's nothing more exciting than that, Dan, if you're a baseball fan. Like, the 2 best feelings as a baseball fan for my dollar are having your team in a playoff race. I think it's the coolest feeling in all of pro sports because it's every day. You know, I'm a huge NFL football fan, a Packers fan, but when they're in, a race for the NFC North, I'm waiting 6 days. I'm getting bored. When your baseball team that you're a fan of is chasing a division, best feeling in sports because it's every night, it's momentum, it's relentless. You've got no time to overthink things. On top of that, the other best feeling as a baseball fan is when your team comes back in games, because there are 162 of these damn things. And if you're a boring team, that immediately cuts out 50, 60, or 70 of them that you're turning off in the third or fourth inning and saying, whatever. When there's always that sense that they can come back, that's what they had in 2015 and 16. That's what made them special, because they were a threat. They were able to hunt teams down, and it energizes everyone. If you're the reliever coming in for the Blue Jays last year in the 7th inning, down 5 runs, you're thinking, screw it, I'll just keep my ERA tidy and get out of here. Now, you're desperate to keep the game in place because you might get the win. It changes everything. Like, it's a complete chemical shift, I think, in everyone's brain. And you see it in players, you see it in coaches, and God, you see it in the fans.
Your description of a 4-1 game and how you had your story written was exactly how producer Tim, who produces this chat with us, and we've worked together for 20 years, the ongoing discussion in the newsroom was producer Tim's perfect game was a 4-1 game where nothing exciting happens.
Oh, man, there are days I pray for those, baby. And let me tell you, that might be one of those today. Sometimes there's no greater gift than that 8-1 game where 7 runs are scored in the first inning, and I've got my story ready. I've got to go to Detroit tomorrow. I've got to squeeze some real life in. But the Jays don't do a lot of that. It's a lot of 1-run games, a lot of comebacks, which is, it makes everyone else happy, so I can take on this incredible burden of writing another silly little story about baseball. But it's that's always funny to me, Dan. It's the big difference between people who work in sports and the rest of the world is sometimes our appreciation for a simple, early determined game. But hey, it's been fun.
You should have saw producer Tim when someone had a no-hitter into the 7th or 8th. Oh, boy.
Oh, I have so many. I have a file on my computer of all the stories I've written that never went anywhere, of Bowden Francis's no-hitters, of some of those big bids, of when they almost made the postseason in 21, whenever it was. Yeah, there's a coffee table book of things that never happened.
Yeah, Dave Stieb, what was the title of his book was Tomorrow I'll Be Perfect, correct?
That's right. Tomorrow I'll Be Perfect.
Oh, man, what a legend that guy was. I saw some clips of Dalton Varsho playing in triple. No, he was playing in Dunedin. So
Down
that's a good sign.
It is. And Dan, I think that Anthony Santander has overshadowed all of this.
Oh, yeah. Where is he? What's the update?
And frankly, it's at this point of the season, I'm fried anyways. It's game 102. But I've spent so much time talking about Anthony Santander and Max Scherzer and these other injuries that are more mysterious or more active. Dalton Varsho is just, hurt his hamstring and he's slowly built back up. It's been very standard. And the last couple of days sitting in the press box, I see him hitting home runs and I'm thinking, oh, right, like Dalton Varsho is coming back. And that's huge. I can't overstate the value of that. We all know that he's one of the best defenders in the world, maybe the best in center field. But the power matters here. And yeah, Varsho might hit 220, but before the injury, he had 8 home runs in 24 games, I believe. Going back to spring training, he was hitting for power. And I know that single A Dunedin, 19 and 20-year-olds, whatever, but you'll take a home run over and out. He's really strong, man. Dalton Varsho, he might be, what's he listed at, 5'7", 5'8". But I always say that if I was starting a football team, like he's my running back, man. Like he is built for absolute power. And he's someone who behind Vladdy and behind Addison Barger might be my best power bet on this team right now with Santander hurt. And if he can come back and over these last 50 games, give the Blue Jays, another 10, 12 home runs with a real burst of power like he was showing earlier, that changes things, man. And he's beloved too, man. He's George Springer has adopted him as his little brother. I think he's everyone's little brother in the clubhouse because he's like this short, bashful guy. And everyone loves to kind of pick on him, but really like him. It's going to be good for this team. And man, he's got some pop. I think he's chasing it more, and I like it. So he's probably back by this weekend, maybe.
Oh, I love it. So what is the update on Santander? Has anyone seen him? Does anyone know where he is?
I feel like we need like a branded segment each week. The Santander Files. It's the latest update. And I've considered putting it down into a story, just all of the updates that we've gotten. But I haven't, because I don't want it to seem like it's taking a shot at Ross Atkins and John Schneider. And I think the information's just changed over and over. I don't think we're getting lied to. But before the All-Star break, there was a chance Ross said that he may come back before the All-Star break. And even at the time, I was thinking, really? I don't know. The latest on Anthony Santander, as of 2 days ago, is that he met with the medical staff in Toronto, never good, and they determined it's going to be at least a couple of weeks till he starts hitting, but that they would evaluate him week to week. So we got 1 week left in July. The way I look at it, Dan, is that even if, let's say 3 weeks from now, he starts swinging the bat again, that's just swinging. I mean, that's standing still, swinging a bat. They call it dry swings without a ball for the first time. He's going to need a few weeks from there. So what are we talking? Early, mid-September? And at that point, do you even want to drop a guy back into the middle of all of this, given how this season's gone, given how he was performing prior to it? It's awkward, man. And I think that a good outcome here may be a total shutdown, whether he needs a procedure or extreme rest. Start over again next year. It's okay. It's all worked out. No blame on Santander. He's tried to go through this. Everyone likes the dude. Everyone's saying the right stuff. But you're just up against it right now, and you're running out of weeks. What are there, 9, 10 weeks left? If you're week to week and you need probably a month to build back up, the train's kind of rolling out of the station at this point.
Okay. I'm going to pose a hypothetical situation. Tell me how you respond in this. Final game of the series against the Yankees. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. hits a grand slam. You see him after the game. You lock eyes. Do you say, "You're welcome"? Because he probably saw what you read. And what does he say back? What happens in that situation when you guys see each other after Vladdy Guerrero Jr. hits the game-winning grand slam?
Hey, break me off one of those millions. You know, that's been an interesting one, Dan, through my time covering the team. Is when I was a bit younger, I was nervous and more hesitant to say things like that, and now I've gotten to the point of just like, listen, I've been around for a while. Outside of Vladdy, I'll probably be around longer than any players who are here currently. If I'm still here in 15 years, I don't know how things are going for me, but I'm a big believer in just being totally honest with guys. I used the George Springer example late in camp. I just went up to him and I was like, "Listen, George, this isn't going well for you, so I'm going to ask you questions about it not going well." And I'd rather players know exactly what I'm doing and what I'm writing about, so I've got no problem with it. And I've written that Vladdy's been cold before. I've written that he's been the best hitter in baseball before. So the important part is that when George Springer bounces back, or when Alek Manoah has a good start, I've written a lot of bad about him, or when Vladdy hits that grand slam, and I can totally see it tonight, I've got to show up with that same energy and write about how beautifully that ball soared into the seats. And I'd love to do that, man, because Vladdy is not just this team's best player, he is their greatest entertainer, man. And this is an entertainment business, and business is booming lately. But the moment Vladdy gets hot, and he's going to, I promise you, it's going to happen, and it's probably going to happen soon. The moment he gets hot, I think that's what takes this all the way back to 15 and 16. Because the only thing that's missing from that 15 and 16 energy is a face of it. They had Jose Bautista and Josh Donaldson. Right now, it's great that everyone's doing their part. But once there's a face of it, a superstar of it, like Vladdy can own this city. He can own every inch of Toronto if he wants to. It's sitting right there in front of him. I think he takes it, man. Just a matter of time.
Love it. Keeg, see you at the game tonight. Thanks, buddy.
You got her, Dan.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.